And we've got a lot to cover today. All right. So let's do this. How to build an investor pipeline from scratch that converts. Again, my name is Stephen Lee Thomas. I'll be your host today. So let's go ahead and get started. Guys, if you've got questions, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put those in the chat as we're going along. If it makes sense, I'm going to answer that question during the presentation live, but we do have some time blocked off at the end for a live Q&A, and I will do my best to answer every single question for you, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. First of all, who is this webinar for? If you're an apartment syndicator, then this webinar is for you. Look, I remember starting out as an apartment syndicator, I had no idea how to even, how to raise capital, let alone even get leads. So if you're an apartment syndicator, then this is absolutely for you, all right? If you are tired of scrambling after deal is under contract to try to figure out how the heck are you going to raise capital for this deal? I have these conversations all the time. People reach out to me, they're like, oh, I got this deal under contract and I don't know how to close this thing. I can't get the money, right? If that's you, pay attention. We're going to help you out. The other person who this is for, maybe you're all of these things, the people who want a repeatable process. Look, I know you guys probably would love to be like, oh, I'd love to raise $500,000, $1 million for my next deal, maybe even $5 million for my next deal. But that's just one deal. Who wants to build a repeatable process? Can I see it in the chat? Like who wants to build a repeatable process to raise capital? Do you guys only want one deal, or you want 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 deals, right? If you want a repeatable process, that's you. That's why you're here. So put it in the chat, guys. I want to see who's looking for a repeatable process to raise capital. All right. Nobody wants to learn how to raise capital on repeat. Come on, work with me here. Okay, put it in the chat. All right, Tyrone, thank you. Thank you. Then this is for you. Here's what I'm going to show you. Here's my promise. Here's what I'm going to give you today. I'm going to show you how to attract investors. I'm going to show you how to build your investor pipeline. And I'm even going to show you how to convert cold leads into investors. All right. This is something my team and I have done over and over and over again. All right. But real quick, if you don't know me, if you've never met me, my name is Stephen Lee Thomas. I am a multifamily investor. I am a business coach and a podcast host, and I teach people how to raise capital for their multifamily deals. At one point, I really struggled at this, and I've gone and gotten a lot of training, a lot of education, and my partners and I have been able to raise over $70 million in capital for our deals. It's allowed us to do 16 deals, over 3,500 units. We're talking lots and lots of capital for people that we've been able to raise, okay? So what I'm going to share with you are the things we've learned along the way. Sound exciting? Who is excited to learn about this? This is important, guys. All right. So here is my big promise, right? Here's what we're going to do, right? I'm going to show you the very simple funnel system I use to build a pipeline of investors before I ever have a deal under contract. There's an important message here, and I've highlighted it. I put it in bold: before I ever have a deal under contract. That's a new concept probably for some of you, but the idea here is that maybe you've heard in the past, if you find the right deal, the money will come, and it hasn't worked out for you, okay? You need to quit thinking that way. What you need to do is you need to figure out how to raise capital before you have a deal, how to get soft commitments before you have a deal. Because then what happens is you get to a position where you're submitting an offer and you know you can raise $500,000, you know you can raise $1 million, you know you can raise $5 million. That's a big deal, guys. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to show you the simple funnel system I've used to build a pipeline of investors before I ever have a deal under contract. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here, first I want to address, here's why most syndicators fail to raise capital. And maybe this is you, and that's okay. And that's why you're here. Number one is they wait until they have a deal. How many of you have ever done that before? How many of you have I know the time to start raising capital is when I have a deal, because you feel awkward. Like, how do I raise capital before I have a deal, right? So I see some comments here like, yeah, that's me, right? You've done that before. The other problem they have is they simply rely just on only networking, maybe some referrals. They don't have a process to go find new leads. And really the last one here, they don't have a system. If you don't have a system, then all you have is hope. Basically, if you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. You don't have a system to follow. Like, what steps are you taking to raise capital? You're just crossing your fingers and hoping that, hey, if I get the right deal, it's all going to make sense. Okay. That's why most syndicators fail to raise capital. They wait till they have a deal. They rely basically on networking or maybe some referrals, and they don't have a system. All they have is hope. Okay. We don't want to do that. All right. Tyrone, thank you for sharing. You say, I'm sitting on two multi-million-dollar deals and now trying to get capital. Yeah, man, it's rough. It's rough. Um, all right. So what happens now? Here's what the pros do differently. Here's the people like me who have figured this out. Here's what we do different. We build a pipeline before we have a deal. What would that change for you? Like if you could have investors lined up saying, hey, when's your next deal? What would that change for you? Like, how would that change your life? How would that change your trajectory? Okay. That's what we do. We use automation and we use processes, very specific processes to raise capital, a repeatable, scalable process. The other thing we do, and I'm going to hang out on this and I just always hammer this in, is we track soft commitments like a real business. Our model when it comes to raising capital is truly to go after those soft commitments before we have a deal. We are always out there working on getting new leads, getting new soft commitments before we have a deal. And we treat it like a business. That's literally what we do. We focus on that with intention. Okay. If you're not doing that, pay attention because we're going to show you how to do that today. All right, so here is what happens. And I've talked about this a little bit in the past, but if you're new to it, I'm going to talk to you about a marketing funnel. How many of you here are new to this idea of using a marketing funnel to raise capital? Maybe you've never even heard of a marketing funnel. Maybe you kind of heard the concept, but maybe you've never made that connection that, wait, you're telling me that raising capital is a marketing and sales funnel? Yeah, it is. Absolutely. That's what's going on here. Okay. So if you've never seen this before, you've never seen the concept, or maybe you've heard of a marketing funnel, but you've never thought of applying it to raising capital, I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. Okay. Because that's really the secret here, is building a funnel so that you can raise capital before you have a deal. And then when you have a deal, you follow the same process in the funnel. So let me walk you through this. You've got different stages. So you've got awareness, you've got interest, you've got conversion, and you've got loyalty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some examples of what that looks like when you're working on, getting this investor pipeline started. So we're going to talk about awareness first. Awareness is like, think of a billboard. You're driving down the road, new restaurant opens in town, and you don't know about it, but they've got a billboard, and you're like, oh, hey, I didn't even know there was a new restaurant. Cool. Maybe I'll go there sometime. All right. So awareness is just making people aware of what you're doing. So if you're new to the space, maybe you got a little bit of experience, maybe you're still shy to share what you're doing, you need to stop that. You need to start sharing what it is you're doing. Even if you don't have a track record, that's okay. It doesn't matter. You have to create this billboard to let people know what it is you're doing. All right. So a couple ways we do that is maybe the social media posts, maybe it's webinars. Heck, it can even be showing up to networking events, but you've got to get comfortable talking about it. You got to create this billboard. Okay. You've got to make people aware of what it is you're doing. Now, in this idea of a marketing funnel, what we're always trying to do is move people through to the next step. So I put my hand out and I'm pulling people through. I'm like, hey, if you'd like to learn a little bit more, come over here. So maybe think of it like this. You're driving down the road. You've seen that billboard once. You're in a different part of town. You see the billboard and they're like, hey, on Tuesdays, we've got this special going on. So come on in on Tuesdays. You're like, all right, well, maybe next Tuesday I'll go, right? That's basically their call to action. What you might do is put together some type of a free lead magnet. Hey, download this lead magnet, because then what you're going to do is you're going to get people more interested. All right, I'd like to learn more. So we move them through into the stage of interest. We provide some educational content, right? That you're warming them up a little bit more. You're getting them used to this idea of potentially investing in apartment complexes. Maybe at this point you do some email nurturing, but what you're trying to do is get them into the next stage, which is in conversion. And that's where you say, hey, Would you be interested in hopping on a call, right? You book a one-on-one call. You're like, hey, you extend the offer, there's call to action, book a call. On this call, what we do, and this is, I'm telling you exactly what we do. We do an apartment investing overview. All right. We don't say, here's the specific deal. We talk about our track record. We talk about how the vehicle works. We talk about if you were to invest, what the returns would potentially look like. All right. And we get them excited about that. Okay. And that is apartment investing overview. And at this point, this is the stage one. We get them to give us a soft commitment. Hey, if we had a deal that looked like this, would you be interested in investing? They're like, yeah, I would love to. Okay. Soft commitment. Boom. All right. So really, this is this is your pipeline right here to get soft commitments, get some awareness, get some interest, then conversion. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about phase two. Now let's say you've got a deal under contract. Need to make people aware that you have a deal. Okay. Then you need to show them what it's all about, get them interested and excited. And then you're like, hey, I've got, then invite them to the webinar and get them to convert. And that's where I've got specific deal webinar, invest in this deal. And the whole time, what you're doing, as soon as you've either got them through phase one, which is a soft commitment, or phase two, which is I've got a deal, you got to keep them warm, right? So you're going to give them some type of a biweekly or monthly newsletter. Maybe you do some investor quarterly calls and you're getting them to invest in another deal and ask for referrals. Okay. So guys, this is the idea of a marketing funnel. You can take this, you can totally start applying this today. But this is really the beginning of understanding what is an investor pipeline. Okay. So I'm going to break this down for you some more. I'm going to give you some tactical things you can implement. Okay. But really quick, I got to do a check. Is this helpful? Can I see in the chat? Is this helpful? Can I get a yes? Can I get a thank you? This is what I need. Somebody give me in the chat? Awesome. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you, Stephen. Okay. So, next thing we're going to talk about, okay, I'm going to dig a little deeper now, right? I'm going to tell you there's 3 real secrets to building an investor pipeline, okay? So there's 3 secrets. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover those 3 secrets. So, secret number 1. Okay, this is where you guys really, really, really need to start. And I see a lot of people struggle on this part. You need to create what we call an ideal investor avatar or your ideal customer avatar, right? You've said it a few different ways, but I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. I'm going to talk to you why a lot of people really struggle. Okay. But it's really important. You've got to have this idea of an ideal investor avatar. And this is something that took me a long time to learn. And a lot of people in my coaching program, we spend a lot of time in this area. The first thing here is you need to not do this. Anyone that has money, that is not the right person that you're looking to invest, because you'll start with, hey, like anybody that wants to invest, like I want their money. I want to get them into an investment. But that doesn't really resonate. Okay. So if you're trying to do messaging and you're like, hey, if you want to invest in apartments, come over here, take a look. Okay, you're not going to really resonate with people. What you need to do is you need to start getting very specific. Okay. And to do that, you need to start thinking about these people. Like, who are you going to connect with? So that leads us to step number 2, and that you're literally going to build a profile for this person. You want to like try to come up with a name. You want to try to visualize them. You want to try to think about like, what does their day look like? So you want to think about their goals, their fears, their income, their potential objections. And then really the last thing here is you want to make, when you're doing your messaging to them, you want to make it resonate. So I'm just going to give you an example here. If I, start posting on social media about, hey, I do apartment investing, it helps people double their money and they can do it passively, right? Maybe that will resonate with some people. But I think about my background, like how can I connect with people? So I have a background in information technology and healthcare. I spent the last 12 years before I left and just do this full time. I was in corporate America doing IT healthcare. Before that, it was a software company. Before that, it was more in IT. So I could say, all right, if you're a healthcare professional and you want to do passive investing, then this might be for you, right? So now all of a sudden people be like, oh, wait, I'm a healthcare professional, but I don't know if that's good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you're a healthcare professional and you have a 401k that's not making the money that you'd like, then I have something for you. Do you see the difference there? Like, hey, if you'd like to invest, I got this opportunity versus I'm like, now I'm getting more specific. If you're a healthcare professional and you're unhappy with your 401k, maybe apartment investing is for you. Or you could be like, hey, if you're a healthcare professional and you're unhappy with your 401k and you'd like to learn how to pay less in taxes on the money that you're making, maybe apartment investing is for you. All right. So I'm getting more and more and more specific. If you're a healthcare professional and your 401k is not performing the way you'd like it to, and you want to build passive streams of income so you can retire sooner, maybe apartment investing is for you. Do you see what I did there? Now, what I'm doing is I'm talking about their fears, I'm talking about their goals, I'm understanding their income desires, and I can even start folding in some objections. Okay. So, what I'm doing here is I am not just throwing shit out there and seeing what might stick. I am creating an ideal avatar. So I'm going to share some insights about my ideal avatar based on my background. I want you guys to do the same thing. Okay, do this exercise. Heck, go into Chat GPT and say, "Hey, I'm trying to create an ideal customer avatar for passive investing." I'm going to share some information with you. Help me get this figured out. So for me, I'm looking for healthcare professionals who are director level or above, who are ages 35 to 60. And the reason for that is they've been working long enough that they could acquire some wealth and move up the ladder. And they probably have some either money in savings or checking that they'd want to invest, or maybe that's also given them enough time to change jobs and they've been able to roll over 401k, which means then they can invest. They can create a self-directed IRA and invest with that. Okay. So I'm putting a lot of thought, like I'm telling you, you need to put a lot of thought into these people you're going to connect with. It's like going to a networking event and just like, oh, I'm going to show up and see who I talk to versus I'm going to go to a networking event and I'm going to find a very specific person with a very specific problem that I can help. That's what you're trying to do. At that point, when you have a very clear idea of who your avatar is, now your messaging can resonate. So, honestly, guys, this is real. This is exactly what we're doing. I know from the industry that I was working in, the stock market's not great. The stock in a lot of those companies has dropped significantly, actually, like more than half. And a lot of those individuals, what happens is they get stock options. So every year they get their bonus and they're like, hey, here's some stock, stick around a little bit longer, but the value of those has gone down. It's like in half, if not more. So our messaging, right? We're going after these specific people and we're reaching out to them and we're saying, hey, how are things going? I'm gonna walk you through this here in a little bit, but hey, how's it going? And then we know there's a pain point. So we're driving our conversation to that pain point because now all of a sudden we can make a connection. Okay. We can have a conversation with someone to make a connection. Think of it like walking up to someone on a street corner and saying, hey, I see you're a person and I know you need to invest. Would you like to invest in a deal? They're like, what? This person's crazy. But if you walk up to that person and you take a little bit of time to connect with them, understand them, ask them a few questions, then you can lead into that part of the conversation. It's a very different conversation. Does that make sense, guys? Is this helpful? Is this helping you understand like how important it is? Secret number one, you've got to come up with who the person is very specifically to like, what does their daily routine look like? Because you got to solve a problem for these people. If you can't figure out the problem you're trying to solve, then you can't help them. All right. So that is secret number one. Let's take a look at secret number two. All right. Secret number two is now you got to go find these investors. You've created this avatar. You know what this person looks like. But number two is you've got to go find these leads. And you don't need a big list. Okay. You really don't. And a lot of people, they get this all wrong. They think they need this huge list of investors and that's how they're going to raise money. But here's what I want to share with you. Okay. So you need to, once you understand who your avatar is, now you need to go like, where are these people at? Is it doctors? Is it lawyers? Is it healthcare professionals? Is it business owners? Okay. Then you can show up in those rooms and you can have those conversations. So, for example, we can find a lot of people on LinkedIn. There's online communities you can find people at, local meetups. There's different places. But now that you actually have it figured out and you're not just, like I said, throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks, you can show up in the right place. You've got to go meet them where they're at. Okay. Then we do this idea of cold outreach, and that scares a lot of people, but I'm going to walk you through that here in just a moment. And then you need to understand, though, that your first 10 soft commitments, uh, I'm telling you guys, they matter way more than your first 1,000 followers. Okay. And maybe you've got a few soft commitments, but maybe it's your first 10 or 20. But I had someone talk to me the other day. They said, "Hey, I don't have a big following on social media. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to raise capital." Like, that's honestly, guys, that's not important. If you go look at my social media, I don't have tons of followers. I don't. But what I focus on is a more meaningful connection, more valuable connection. So let me give you an example here. The first time I went to raise capital, I sucked. I'm not gonna lie, right? I had gone to networking events. I followed what people were telling me. I keep this box of business cards on my desk as a reminder. And I had gone to these networking events and I had got a few hundred business cards by going to these networking events. And I'm like, cool. Now that I have business cards, I'll be able to raise capital. We get a deal, send out an email, invite people to a webinar. How many people invested with me of the few hundred emails I sent out? One. I had one person invest with me. It's because I never took the time to make a connection. I never took the time to have a conversation. I never did that. Okay. So if you only have 10 people that'll invest $50,000 each, that's $500,000. But if you've got 1,000 followers on social media that you've never made a connection with, you might not raise any capital. Does that make sense? Okay. So I need you to shift your mindset. It's not a game of how many followers do I have? How many subscribers do I have to my YouTube channel? It's really way more about meaningful connections. All right. And so that's where I want to talk about this idea of cold outreach. And here's a strategy, and I'm going to break this down for you more in a little bit, but you're going to do an introduction. You're going to be curious, and then you're going to see where you can provide value. Okay. And what that means is, and if you guys have LinkedIn and maybe even on Instagram, you probably had heck, who knows on Facebook, but you've probably had some people reach out to you and then just send you the first message and they're like, "Hey, I've got something valuable for you and I know you should buy it from me. Like, you want to hop on a call?" And you're like, "Look, I don't even know you. Like, you don't know if what you have even has any value." So I'm going to go back to this concept of meeting someone on the street corner, and this is a real example that I use, and I share with people that I'm coaching. So imagine and I'm going to share this with you because I want you to visualize how crazy this sounds, right? But if you're reaching out to people and your first message is, "Hey, I think you should invest in a deal," and you've never talked to this person, I'm going to show you how crazy that is. Okay. So you're out, and let's say that this crazy example, you sell socks. All right. Well, everybody wears socks at some point, right? So you walk up to someone on the corner and you're like, "Hey, my name's Steven. I sell socks. I see you're wearing socks. Would you like to buy some socks?" Crazy example, I know, but I want you to visualize if someone walked up to you and you're like, "What? What? Well, what just happened?" That's what you're doing. If you are doing cold outreach and you're just dropping in like, "Hey, like, here's a deal. You should invest." Like, you never took the time to even ask that person any questions. That's where you're failing. Okay. So what I'm telling you to do is introduce yourself. Hey, I'm just, this is the example on LinkedIn. "Hey, just wanted to connect, connected with other people in the industry." Boom. That's it. Then ask some questions about them. "Hey, how long have you been working here? Look at the profile. Like, hey, I saw a few things about you." Oh, okay. And then you have the opportunity to add value. And like I said, I'm going to break this down in a little bit, but what you need to do, like, so step number one is create this ideal avatar. Yeah, Tyrone says people do it all the time and it's so annoying. Yeah, don't be that annoying person, okay? It's freaking annoying. Don't be that person. Like, I guess if you do it enough times, it'll work, but it lowers your chances of success significantly. Okay. Knock that shit off if you're doing it. All right. So let's take a look at secret number three. Okay. Secret number three. Cold outreach that converts. All right. So here's okay. So I was already saying that this is number one. Why most messages get ignored is because of exactly that. They throw stuff out there. Tyrone, you've seen it. Christopher, you've seen it. Jay, you probably seen it. Nathan, Nectar, Robert, you guys are all in here. You've probably seen this before. Somebody reaches out to you with something that they're saying that you need it, and they have no idea if you do or don't. So that's why most messages get ignored. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to follow this process here. So it's pattern interrupt, see where you can add value, and then give them a call to action. And so here's I'm going to reframe this for you as well. Honestly, not everybody is a good fit to invest with you. So the conversations that you're having, and this is what you need to learn to do with all these conversations, is you need to think you need to be able to like think of it almost like you're a doctor diagnosing their situation. Okay, so if you go to a doctor and you've got some issue, the doctor takes a look, does some assessment, and says, okay, this is what's going on, this is what you need to do to solve your problem. Right, there's different things you can do to solve problems, but that's the position you need to be in. So what you need to learn to do is, gently, lightly through the conversation with them, um, how can you be curious without being too invasive? Just these are just DMs, but see if maybe they do have a problem you can solve. And when we get deeper into like when you have that one-on-one conversation with someone, I literally I let them know, hey, we're going to take a look at where you're at, from an investing standpoint, where you're trying to be, like what are your goals? I'd love to know if you have any challenges or struggles that are, frustrating you, you'd like to overcome. And if I think this is a good fit for you, then I'll just show you how apartment investing works. Sound good? And they're like, yeah. Like every time that they're always like, yeah, sounds good. And so what I'm doing is, and this is a more detailed conversation, but I'm sharing with the same idea through the DMs. What I'm doing is I'm finding out if apartment investing or whatever the type of investing you're doing, could it actually solve a problem for them? They might not even know they have a problem, but could it actually solve a problem for them? Because if they already have investments that are making more money, save them more in taxes, then really is what you have a good option for them? It might not be. So you've got to learn to say, is this even valuable before you ever make an offer? So I'm going to give you an example here. So, a good way to do this is right here. So maybe you say, hey, I saw your post about something. Very insightful. I got a quick question for you. And ask them something about that, right? Don't just make it about them. Okay. Make the conversation about them. Don't make it about you. Make it about them. Okay. So then have a little bit of back and forth, right? So you just a little bit of establishing rapport. You're just having a conversation. And then you might say, you know, hey, I heard the news about, and then say problem they might be facing, right? I'm just this you can frame this up your own way, but oh, okay. So a lot of people face this problem. The problem they might be facing, has that impacted you? And so I'm using the example of the stock market, the volatility. And if you like, it's pretty easy to find these days, like, Bitcoin crashes or something weird happens, the stock goes up, stock goes down, volatility, the mortgage rates are up. Like, I mean, there's all so many different things you can play on here, right? And so, they say, hey, has that impacted you? And then based on their response, likely they'll say yes. That's the point where then you can say, I help busy professionals avoid the pain they have, right? Tie it back into their pain through apartments, right? Passive investing in apartments. Would you be open to a quick call to see if this fits your goals? All right, so I'm gonna break this down for you a little bit different. Think of it like a framework. You're gonna first thing you're gonna do is you're just gonna make a connection, right? Just establish a connection, and then you're gonna have just establish some we call rapport. That means you're gonna have a little bit of chit chat. I make it about them, not about you. First thing you need to do, make it about them. Then you're going to because you're trying to understand where they're at, you're trying to understand where they're trying to get and any pain they might have. And then if they tell you they have some pain, that's the moment where you can say, cool, I could help you actually avoid that pain. Would you be open to a conversation? Very, very, very different than just sending a cold message. I can solve this problem for you. I've never had this conversation with you. I don't even know if you have this problem, but I think I can solve it for you. Do you guys see the difference there? Very, very, very different. So I'm gonna use the example of the exact conversation we're having with my avatar when we're doing outreach, specifically in this case LinkedIn, but it could be any platform. It could be a networking event. It could be any place you're going, as long as you understand your avatar. So what we're doing is we are first social media, like I said, LinkedIn, first making a connection request. Okay, we're not saying anything. We're just, hey, we're just making a connection request. They accept, and we say, hey, I'm just connecting with a few folks, in the space I used to work in. How are things with you? Very open-ended. All right. If they're posting, hey, I saw this, you posted this, very interesting, very insightful. What led you to, do this? And then for me, because I know my avatar so well, I say, hey, I heard the news about how much stock has dropped because of this. Has that impacted you? And I'm telling you guys, because I know this, because I've studied my avatar, everybody's like, yep, 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 yep. Oh man, like, what's your plan? Well, I'm probably going to have to work a little bit longer, right? Well, hopefully the stock market comes back up. Oh, okay. Well, look, the reason why I'm reaching out is because I actually help people just like you avoid that exact problem through apartment investing, right? I'm going to send you a quick video. Just let me know your thoughts. If you want to hop on a call, great. And then what happens is I've had a little bit of a conversation with them. I've understood their pain point. I can relate, right? I'm actually making a connection with them, and then I'm adding value. Does this help, guys? Do you see the difference here in the conversation that you can have with someone? Okay. Now, I'm not going to lie. This is not an easy button. You're not going to get thousands of people just, oh, I got to invest with you like overnight. Okay. But what I'm teaching you is this is a pipeline, right? This raising capital. The reason why a lot of people struggle is because one, they don't understand how to do it. And two, they don't follow the process. And three, they're not willing to put in the work. Okay. This isn't something that takes 40 hours a week. What's more important is being consistent and following the process. That's it. Okay. That's really the simple truth is anything worth doing, you got to put some time into, right? And that's where we're at when it comes to raising capital. All right. So that is secret number 3. You're going to do cold outreach that converts, right? And I told you why most messages get ignored is because they're crap, because people don't know how to send that first message. All right. So now let me do a quick recap on this. All right. So here are your steps to building an investor pipeline from scratch. Okay. The first thing you're going to want to do, you need to define your avatar. Don't shortcut this. I promise you it's worth it. I gave you several examples where I can show you how much more relatable you can be, how much more powerful that conversation is if you truly take the time to understand your avatar. I will also share with you, my avatar's changed over time. It's kind of like, well, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, but I'm learning I listen to the feedback I get and I'm learning, okay, well, that didn't work quite as well. So let me tweak this, let me tweak this, let me tweak this. And so we've just been, massaging this over time. So that's okay. If you need to tweak it a little bit, that's fine. But you've just got to go out there and start. So you got to define your avatar. You need to then work on lead generation, right? So just because you have an avatar doesn't mean people flood in. That's just not how it works. So you've got to, okay, where am I going to go find these people? Where are they located, right? Like I said, if it's doctors, like my avatar is not attorneys because I can't relate to them. All right. I know they've got money and they might have some pain points, but unless I study them a lot, it's going to be harder for me to relate to them, right? So I'm using my background, and that's a really powerful way to connect with people when you're building your avatar. Is think about you, think about the person you used to be, and how you can help someone else become the person you are now. Okay, so show up at those places, and then you're going to start doing lead generation, and defining those leads, and then you start doing the outreach. Okay. The outreach is very important how you do that. So we're just doing an initial connection. Hey, how's it going? Then we're asking some questions. We're curious about them. We're trying to understand a little bit more about where they're at, where they're trying to be, if they have any pain points. If they have any pain points that we think we can solve, that's where you say, cool. Well, if that's the case, I might have a solution for you. Would you like to hop on a call? Then you get them on that call, you talk about it some more, and that's where you're like, well, look, these are what the deals look like. This is how we help people. I don't have a deal right now. We're always looking at deals. If we have a deal that looked like this, would you be interested in investing? And they're like, yeah. I mean, we're probably like 80 to 90% of the book calls we get, people are like, yeah, I would like to invest. It might even be higher than that because we're taking the time to go through these steps. By the time we get to this part right here with the book call and the soft commitment, they're so warmed up because we've taken the time to connect with them and have those conversations that this part is not real hard because we've been able to identify they have a problem and then we can solve it. Okay. So that's it. That's how you do this. Tyrone, question is, would it raise any red flags for a stranger to contact on social media asking a bunch of questions? If you just barrage them with questions, maybe. So this is where it gets a little bit an art, if you will. So you don't have to ask them a lot of questions, okay? You don't have to ask them about their entire life. But if you have if you can relate to them, the conversation becomes much more natural, right? So think of it like, you're on an elevator and you're making small chat with someone. You're waiting in line and you're making small chat with someone. It's not a very long conversation. You're not trying to have an hour-long conversation with somebody. You're just trying to have a little bit of a small conversation, okay? So, Tyrone, I wouldn't suggest that you go real deep into it. We're talking, you know, maybe five, six, maybe seven different exchanges back and forth. Okay. It doesn't have to be a lot because maybe you don't have them hop directly onto a call. Maybe you say, well, hey, I've got this ebook. Hey, I've got this cheat sheet. Hey, I've got this quick video. Okay. So if you have the time to do it, then I would suggest you create some type of a freebie giveaway, something small, something easy, not a 80-page ebook, but a 2 or 3 page ebook or a 4 or 5, maybe 10-minute video that they can watch. Okay. That is, less confrontational. And if you can get their buy-in on that, then they're more likely to book a call. Okay. So, yeah, you got to be a little bit careful with that. You don't want to come across as asking too many questions. But I can tell you from experience, it works. Okay. Like, honestly, it works. If you can be relatable and you can start that outreach, you have a little bit of conversation, provide them just some small little quick wins, enough information, like, and not be pushy, then you're much more likely to have these conversations, much more likely to get these calls booked. All right. So now I just want to go back to this. Okay. I want to go back to this marketing funnel really quick. So knowing what you know now, what we've really talked about here, I'm gonna go back. What we've really talked about here is kind of the top. I mean, we're talking about the funnel, but I want to just share with you like how that ties back in and how important a process is to follow. Okay. Because reaching out and having these conversations is really the tip of the iceberg here. So what we're talking about, I have social media posts, webinars, download my free ebook, but what we're talking about here is doing some cold outreach, and that's okay, right? You're not going to be overly salesy. You're not going to, throw stuff out, throw stuff over the wall that nobody cares about. Um, but this works. You're making people aware of what's going on. What you really need to be doing at the same time is you probably need to have some other social media posts about how you help people out. You probably really also need to be doing some webinars. So Tyrone, think about it like this. And I know this because I watch it. So on LinkedIn, what we'll do is we'll find our leads, we will view their profile, then we will send them a connection request, and we see they always view our profile before they accept the connection request. Okay, they are going to check you out. They might even look you up on the internet, right? They might look for more things about you. So if you have some other information that's out there, they're going to decide, earlier on if they even want to accept your connection request, right? I'm using LinkedIn as an example. So, so here's what we're finding. There's a lot of people, they don't accept the connection request. They probably don't want what I have. But if you looked at my LinkedIn profile, it is built very specifically to connect with that avatar. So they will go in, they will look at my LinkedIn profile, and they will see what I do, who I help, and what I have to offer. And that's another thing. So I don't even have that in here. I could do a whole training on like optimizing your social media profile, your online presence, so that when you do this outreach, people see you and they're like, they make a decision. Okay, cool. I might be interested in what this person has to say or not. Okay. So you ideally not just cold outreach, but you have these other processes in place. You have something available to either give them as a free download or some video to watch. Um, James, how long is it taking me to develop this system? So I've been in the space, James, for 7.5 years. I'm going to say 7.5 years to develop this system. All right. And I'll explain more about that in just a minute. But there's a lot of learning and education that has gone into this, like lots and lots and lots. So I'm telling you, not just I picked up a book and read this, I'm telling you from almost a decade of experience. All right, guys. So we're going to be doing these things. We're going to be doing some awareness. This is going to help with your cold outreach. The other thing is interest. Okay, so now that you're starting to have this, you've got this conversation going. If you've got some of these other things going on, you're able to provide some educational content, and that's where you got the ebook. Maybe you've got a website. Maybe you've got some more things available there, or you're doing these webinars a little bit more educational, and they're like, cool, you know what? I've started having this conversation. I've looked you up online. I've seen some of your stuff in social media. I'm ready for that call. Okay. But if you don't have a call to action, they won't move forward. Most people are not going to reach out to you and be like, hey, how can I give you my money? All right. You got to be pulling them through the process, right? That's where we have the call to action. Then you're getting them onto this call, right? You've got this lead. We've taken the time to understand them. We've had this conversation. We've provided them valuable resources. So honestly, guys, a lot of times what I'll do is if someone is warming up and they're hot, I will send them a short video, and if they like it, I'm going to send them a longer video that just gives them a nice overview. I'm also going to send them a case study of something that we've done. If you don't have that, maybe you share a case study of a deal you're underwriting. And then before they hop on the call with me, I have them watch another short video which covers like the investment scenarios. So by the time I'm getting someone on a call, they've given me already hours of their time. And so that's where the system and process really comes into place. So, the process is the process, but when you start adding in these other pieces, you become that much more effective when you're going to raise capital. All right. Is that making sense, guys? Is that helping you out? Okay. So to do the conversion, that's where I'm saying we do an apartment investing overview initially. That's phase one. We get them to give us a soft commitment. Then we're providing them more education along the way. They're giving us a soft commitment, we're providing them more education for months, okay, until we have a deal ready. And so at that point, they've given us hours and hours and hours of their time. They're engaged. So when we have that deal, they're ready. They're hot, okay? We're gonna show them this specific deal. We've already answered all of their questions because of the email nurturing and the content we've been providing. You want to invest in a deal? They're like, yeah, I've been waiting for this. Okay. And then here's how we keep them warm, right? Bi-weekly newsletters, quarterly investor calls, and we get them into another deal. And when they're raving fans, then we ask for referrals. All right. Does that make sense, guys? You see how if you follow the steps here, it's not complicated. You just got to learn to follow the steps, and then you can raise capital. All right. So, but I want to talk to you, if you're okay with it, I want to show you a little bit more about what goes into managing all of this. All right. Like, how do you make all this happen? You're like, Stephen, this is great. This is fantastic information. Like, I wish somebody would have shared this with me a long time ago. But how do I bring all of that together? So what we have is we actually have, James, you asked how long it took for us to develop the system. Well, we've been over the years using lots of different systems and bringing it all together. But what we have now is a single system. So imagine how much more effective you can be if you don't have to have all of these other systems, because over time we've had to have a CRM, an email service provider, we've got to do texting, appointment setting, build landing pages, got to have a website, social media scheduling, like the list is long. And it becomes a lot to manage. And a lot of people just get burnt out. And they're like, I can't do this. I'm burnt out. There's too much for me to do here. I'm going to walk away. But it doesn't have to be that way. That's what I'm telling you guys. It doesn't have to be that way. What we have now, we have a single platform that actually brings all of this together and automates a bunch of this for you. So imagine having the conversation with someone and you just literally drop them into the top of the funnel. Then maybe they get a text message. Then they're getting the social media, because you can bulk upload social media for like a month. It's automated for you, okay? Maybe somebody comments on your post, they automatically get a reply. Then you send them a link so they can download your lead magnet. Then from there, there's some emails that automatically go out, and you're asking them to a call. You can all these things can be automated in a very simple way so that you don't have to go manage all of this. Is that pretty awesome that you can actually consolidate all of this into one single platform? And that's what we have for you guys. We actually have our own platform. We call it RaiseGenius.ai. And the reason why is because we want to help you become a capital raising genius. So let me see in the chat. Who wants to become a capital raising genius? Who wants to be able to raise millions of dollars in capital to fund their multifamily deals? Who wants to be a capital raising genius? Let me see in the chat. Who wants to be a capital raising genius? Okay. That's you guys. All of you want to be a capital raising genius. Christopher, from grasshopper to master. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I'm telling you guys can do this. You can all become a capital raising genius. And it doesn't take a lot of time because we've really consolidated and streamlined this. All right. So with the RaiseGenius.ai, what's included? All right. So here's what we're doing with that, the software for you guys. So we're giving you a whole lot. Okay. This is not just a platform. We're here to help you actually be successful with all of this. So let me make this a little bigger. What's included? So what you get with this is it's an advanced customer relationship management tool and investor funnels. It's a done for you CRM setup, high converting funnels. It's specifically for raising capital from passive investors, getting soft commitments, and helping you raise capital when you've got a deal. The other thing we do, because we really want to help you be successful with the software, comes the coaching. All right. So we're giving you twice a week. Twice a week we meet and we do live group coaching calls. We cover all these strategies in a lot of detail. We help you understand these systems. We share scripts with you to help you attract investors, nurture them, close them, and we give you Q&A time. All right. So twice a week we're meeting as a group. You also get a community of people. So it's not just a piece of software. You're getting twice a week live calls and you're getting a community. These are other people who have started from zero and are actively raising capital. We get messages all the time in the community. Hey, I just got another person that wants to commit. Hey, I just got an offer accepted on a deal. Hey, I just raised a whole bunch more capital. And that's pretty awesome, right? That's a cool thing. So the other thing we've got, anything you want to learn about, we've got a huge video training library on not only the sales and marketing, but how to use all of the software. Okay. Like all that stuff is available for you. We also provide tech support. So we have dedicated tech support. If you're struggling, you have any issues with setting everything up, right? We're going to get you plugged in. We're going to get you all set up and configured. We want you to be successful, but then we offer additional support for you. Okay. And then like I said, we got a big template library. So we're taking what I just showed you, all of those steps, we've got all that packaged up. So you don't need to go get a bunch of different pieces of software and hope you can get it all together and hire a tech support team, right? You don't need to do that. It's all in one place. So not only are you getting the system to do it, but you're getting the training, you're getting the community, you're getting the on-demand library, you're getting the tech support, and you've got a template library, a lot of things you can choose from to help you be successful. Okay. So you can go from, I don't know how to do any of this, to within days having a whole capital raising system. And that's pretty cool. Who's excited about that? Who would, if you could get a capital raising system turned on today, would that change things for you? Would that allow you to get unstuck and really start accomplishing your goals? I mean, if you're struggling to get into one deal, you're going to struggle to get into 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 deals. There's a universal truth that I've learned when it comes to doing these types of deals, and that is the biggest limiting factor to your success, the biggest limiting factor to your ability to scale is your ability to raise capital. You figure that part out, I promise you, you will become one of the most valuable people in the room. I get someone reach out to me probably at least every other week, if not more frequent, saying, hey, I've got this opportunity. Would you like to help raise capital for it? I'm not exaggerating, guys. Like this happens to me pretty frequently. Hey, I've got an apartment deal. Hey, I've got this other deal. Would you like to help raise capital for it? So you'll go from like struggling to find deals and submitting offers where somebody's already done the work, somebody's already got the good deal, and they're inviting you into their deal. Who wants that? Who wants to shift from struggling to underwriting and spending all the time in underwriting and finding deals to now you're strategically raising capital and you're getting invited into deals? Who wants that? That's a game changer, guys. Figure this thing out, and I promise you that will happen. It happens frequently for me, and it can happen for you. All right, guys. So here's what we're gonna do. All right. For those of you that are serious, right? Those of you who are actually interested in learning more and seeing if this is actually a good fit for you. I'm really big on alignment. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drop in the chat right now a link, and that link is just gonna be to book a call with me. Okay. On that call, we're gonna take a look at where you're at, uh, where you're trying to be, like what your goals are, and what you're really struggling with. Okay. And if we think you're a good fit, if I think you're a good fit for this, then I'll just show you what the whole program looks like. I'll dive into more details. All right. And at the end of it, you're just going to decide if it's something that you want to move forward with. Okay. It's got to be the right fit for you. If you're serious and if you want to get unstuck and you want to move forward and you want to be raising capital for these deals, you want to be part of a community who's also doing the same thing, you want to get access to other deals, then this is going to help you out. All right. So you can either scan the QR code right here, or we just dropped a link in here. You can click that. We opened up the calendar to make some more spots available. Guys, I got a little bit of travel coming up. I got a few days off next week. I'll be out of town with the family, and then a couple weeks after that, like I said, I'm going to be out of the country for a little while. So if you're interested, I would highly recommend you find a spot and you find it quickly and book it, because there's not a lot available, not a lot of available spots in the next couple of weeks. So go out there, find a spot, get it booked, okay? And then if it makes sense, we'll get you plugged in and we'll get you rocking and rolling real quick. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shift over to the Q&A. I want to be able to answer some questions, but unfortunately, I only got about 5 minutes, okay? And then I got to drop for another call for an apartment deal that we have. So I'm gonna go through these things. If you've got questions, all right. So Tyrone, it looks like there's no times available. We will get that cleaned up for you. Jalene's gonna work on getting that cleaned up right now. So there should be some time slots available, but here's what we're gonna do. If it's not available right now, save that page, because right after that call, we'll open up some more spots. If you're not seeing anything, we'll open up some more spots. I guarantee you we'll get you a spot. Just give us a little bit of time and we'll open it up. Okay. So it looks like it might be a little bit popular for people trying to get in. Like I said, I've got some things we've got to take. I got some travel coming up, which is one of the beautiful things about having this figured out is I can work from anywhere. I can do this from anywhere. Like I said, when I'm in South America, I'm going to block off some time. I'm going to have some calls with some folks, start raising some capital for a new deal I got invited to. But let me start going through. If James says, if the training also includes actual funding, that's a no-brainer. So James, the answer to your question is we teach you how to fund a deal. Like that's what we do. We teach you how to, my goal is to make you be independent. Okay. I want you to be able to like be your own capital raiser. We're going to help you get started. If you can raise a little bit of capital and I have an opportunity and I can invite you into that to help you get started, absolutely, I'm going to do that for you. Okay. And that's something that just came up yesterday. Someone reached out to me that said, hey, would you like to help with this deal? I said, send me some information over. I'm going to share it with my community. And if they have the ability to raise some capital and they're interested in getting this on their resume and becoming a partner, I'm going to do that. I'm going to help people out. Okay. So my job is to help you be successful. Let me see if I got any other spots. And Jaleene, if you're able to get in and get that fixed and get some spots available, I would just move that out by a few days and just open some stuff up. Let us know in the chat. Okay. But if not, we'll get that cleaned up really quick. So let me go through these questions. Like I said, I only got a few minutes left. You can also reach out to us on School if you've got more questions. My team always monitors that chat there. But let's go through these. So what if I've never raised capital before? The system walks you through everything even if you're starting from scratch with no experience. That's one of the things that's beautiful. Tyrone, see if that's available for you now. Looks like the team says it should be good now. You should have some available spots. All right. So if you never raised capital before, honestly, guys, not an issue. Most people that have this problem, even if you've gotten into a deal, maybe you only raised, from one or two person. That was me in my first deal. Starting from scratch, like that's where everybody's at here, starting from scratch. Okay. So it's for you. How is it different just from a networking or joining another coaching program? Because it's a complete system. We're going to teach you how to generate leads, build trust, do the nurturing, and can convert. Okay. This is not just theory. This shit works. Okay. I'm telling you, my team and I do it all day long. This is what we're doing. We're doing it for years. If you're like, I'm already on posting on social media and have a website, why do I need a funnel? Timer looks like another. Why do you need a funnel? Because funnels, if you don't have it right, like what you want to do is move people through a specific process, and so that's why we help you with that. What if I don't have a deal right now? Right now is a perfect time. If you don't have a deal, that's when you want to start raising capital before you have a deal. Do I need a big email list or investor database to start? No. What's more important is you focus on those valuable connections. Okay. How long will it take before I can raise real money with the system? Most people, they're starting to get commitments, interest within the first 30 to 60 days. And there's actually quite a few people who it's within a few days, like within the first week or so, we give you some tactics really early on to start going and having these conversations. Is RaiseGenius just software? Is it coaching too? I mentioned that before. It's everything. So it's not just, hey, here's some software, good luck. It's everything to help you be successful. Okay. Can I still use this even if I already have capital partners or co-GPs? Yeah. So what this does is it gives you the ability to raise your own capital. If you have a partner, what we do is we give you 2 seats with the software. So you get it for you and an actual partner. You guys both can have access to the software. What support do you get once you get started? So you get the onboarding, you get live coaching calls, you get the tech support, and you get the community. You get tons of support. It's all the support you're going to need. If you follow the steps, how do I know if this will work for me? It works. Okay. The people that are in the program are out there raising capital. It works. Okay. I'm telling you, a lot of people think they can't do this, but capital raising is a learnable skill if you learn how to follow the right systems. All right. Okay, guys, look, I apologize that I didn't leave more time for FAQs. You got great questions in here, but like I said, I got to go to a property call for one of the properties that we manage, and I got to jump over to that. So if you've got more questions, hit us up in school or the team or wherever you're watching this. Send us a comment and we will reply. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I really hope you found it valuable, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next training. Thanks, everyone.